Hi, everybody. My name is Brittany Simmons. I live in Colorado. That was for those of you who do not know me and are watching my vlog. So I'm laying in my bed, so my face looks kind of funny. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on a few things going on here. So first off, I am married. Almost for 10 years. May 9th, we will be married 10 years. We have an adorable little boy who will be 2 in May. But what I want to talk about is being a stroke survivor's wife, caregiver, that kind of thing. So on May 27th of 2017 at 1:30 in the morning, my husband suffered a quite severe ischemic stroke in the cerebellum part of his brain due to a blood clot that had traveled into the artery and blocked the blood flow. So we woke up, my son was screaming bloody murder, and he never does, and so it was kind of scary. He woke me up in a panic. My husband's like, he's laying on the floor, and I was like, you okay? And he's like, yeah, I just don't feel good, so I'm gonna lay here for a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take care of our little guy here and get him calmed down. Well, in the process of that, my husband yells at me to call 911. And when a man tells you to call 911, you don't delay, you call 911 right then and there. So I called 911, and as I was on the phone with the dispatch lady, he told me that his right side was getting tingly, just didn't feel right, and so I told her that, and she's like, well, we've got units on the way, go ahead and just try to keep him comfortable, and we'll be right there. And so thankfully my parents woke up, and my dad was up, and because we live with them, going to the bathroom, and so I knocked on the door, brought Rowan to them, so that they could watch him, so that I could take care of Doug, my husband, and not have to worry about it. And so ambulance shows up, EMT and paramedic come in and are talking, and he was still able to talk to them, which is weird, because if you've ever seen the stroke thing that they put out, slurred speech and all that stuff, and a lot of people aren't responsive by the time that help gets to them. So it was quite interesting that he was still alert, but yeah, he was starting to slur his words. But he really didn't have any of the other things down the list, so I never thought it could have been a stroke. So they get here and they take his blood pressure. It's ungodly high, and they're like, we think you've had a stroke. We're gonna go ahead and get you loaded up and get you to the hospital. Which hospital do you want to go to? And so we chose the one that we always go to, because we have 2 here in Loveland, Colorado. And so they took him out there. I didn't go because it's how early it was, and I needed sleep, and even though I didn't get any that day, but my son needed sleep, and it was just not a good situation to go. So I was like, well, they'll just call me with everything I need to know, which is a good thing, because he ended up getting transported to another hospital that was more equipped to take care of him. Literally like an hour and a half after he got to the hospital. Because that's where they determined it was a blood clot that caused it, so they sent him to a hospital that's an hour and a half away from where we currently live. And once he got down there, they did everything they needed to do, x-rays, CAT scans, all that stuff. Well then, we were heading down there to go see my dad and me and my son, and in the process of us driving down, they called me and told me that they had to emergency intubate him. So I was like, yeah, if it's going to save his life, because I guess in the process of them transferring him, he had ingested into his lungs contents of his stomach, so it was not a pretty picture at all. And down there, I got down there and they're explaining things to me, and they're telling me that his stroke should have killed him, so it's a miracle he's even alive and breathing. So that was really intense for me. And so it became my mission to try to see him as often as possible. I use an ICU, but he doesn't remember ICU at all. He was there for a month in ICU, hooked up to all the machines. It was really scary. It was a scary time. And his stats would drop, and then they'd rise, and then they'd drop, and then he would stable out for a few days, and then it wasn't good. We thought we were going to lose him. But then that month had to have been one of the most life-changing experiences of my life. You're never really prepared for somebody that you love so much to be in a situation like that. You're never really prepared for that. I've seen people in ICU hooked up to everything. I thought I was going to be gung-ho and strong, but the love of my life was laying there on life support. Couldn't move. Really couldn't hear me. Didn't understand anything I was saying. It makes it really hard to think about, and being that he was sole support, it like threw me into a tizzy of, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because I gotta support my son, I gotta support me, and then on top of it, so I started a GoFundMe for us, and I just have to say, we know some amazing, generous people, and our church is amazing, because everybody supported us so much. Well, then our car broke down, and I had to use all our savings from the money we got from everybody to buy a new car, which kind of stunk. But that was why he was in the first long-term acute care facility, which was awful. But we'll go into that in another video. But I just want people to take away from this first one, you never know what's gonna happen. Be vigilant. Love like there's no tomorrow coming. Love one another. Be kind. Live as though there's no tomorrow. And we never ever saw this coming. Never in our wildest dreams would we have ever saw that Doug was gonna have a stroke a year after our son was born. It's intense. And yeah, but like I'm gonna do these vlogs and just hop on and record them, get them up on either Facebook or YouTube, depending, or if I can find a site to upload them to, I'll put that on too. But yeah, that first month was so intensely rough. Just a lot of emotions. Like I said, you're never ever going to be prepared to walk in and find the love of your life laying basically lifeless on a table, hooked up to everything under the sun, while they're monitoring him on computers and the nurse's station. But yeah, it's that first month really changed my perspective on life. And honestly, guys, I don't mean to push religion down anybody's throat by any means, but I have a big faith in God, and everything happens for a reason. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be as strong as I am. And still thinking about it, I still get very emotional because it's a long road to recovery. But honestly, just watch people. Just keep an eye on your loved ones, because how Doug started, he had a tummy ache, and then all of a sudden he was in a lot of pain, and then all of a sudden he was numb, and then he was slurring his words. And so it's like, it doesn't really follow the stroke protocol thing that they have out there. And then recently, a friend of mine's mom actually had a similar thing happen to her with a stroke, but her brain swelled, and so they had to remove part of her skull. So I mean, it's just be very vigilant. Strokes are happening way too common now, and it's really, really scary. They're very, very common, and I don't think people realize that there's more than just the one type. Like, there's really, like, not everybody's stroke is the same either, and so it's very confusing, and it's a whole realm. It's the brain, and the brain doesn't regenerate like the rest of your body, and it's just crazy. But I just wanted to hop on and start my blog, my vlog, I guess is what you call them, but and just get into the meat of it. And I'm going to be posting more videos, so hopefully everybody can kind of see a perspective on things from my perspective. So, like, and feel free to message me if you have questions, or I'd be more than happy to help others. That's why I think I'm on this journey, is to be helpful to other people, whether it's a stroke situation or not. Because I mean, we also battled infertility for 7.5 years, so I can help in that aspect really well. But that's a different story for a different time. But yeah, I just wanted to do that and get this started and see what kind of response I get. So everybody have a wonderful day, evening, whenever you're watching this. I hope it's wonderful for you. And God bless.